There, Ron Sullivan, your online hitting consultant. So your player has a hard time staying back. I hear it all the time. My player can hit a fast pitcher. I mean, the fastball comes in, he smacks it. Slow pitcher comes in and he can't stay back. Or the changeup, or the curveball, right? And on and on and on. So I was going to give you something that's a little bit different than what you might normally hear, right? In that, well, first off, we normally see this in the mechanics of the lower half. And this is something that gets us really excited as hitting instructors and as fans of hitting and the mechanics of hitting, is lower body work that looks like what Correa does here. It's absolutely perfect. Okay, and so what do we do in deciding how to get to that point? Well, I've heard it a million different ways taught, and so one of the most, I guess, obvious ways when you look at video and you say, you know, how's he doing that? Well, his foot's definitely off the ground. So how am I going to teach a kid to do that? Well, I got to tell him to do something with his back foot in order to get there. And so I've seen all different types of drills. I've seen jump off the backside, you know, really kick off of it. I've seen, you know, pull that back knee underneath you, and I've seen squeeze the knees together, you know, and on and on and on. And look, everybody has their way of teaching it. But one of the things that I think that we really miss is this idea of grounding ourselves. And this is something that I've been thinking about quite a bit lately, and I look at the characteristics of players that have a difficult time standing back and staying back. And one of the things that I see consistently, it's not so much that players are lunging at balls, they just really have a hard time controlling their momentum, right? And so what that is to me is, some of it is, especially some of your advanced players that have been taught a lot of different stuff of what to do with the back leg. Do this, maybe you did a kick drill or something like that. And believe me, I've taught all of them. But what I think that we're starting to miss, right, is this idea of grounding. Now, most of your players, if you're having a hard time staying back, I promise you that before heel plant, maybe somewhere in between toe touch and heel plant, your player's back heel is coming off the ground, right? What I think you need to do is you need to start challenging your players, right? Especially players that have a hard time staying back. You need to start challenging your players in the tee work to try to feel that point when their front heel lands that their back heel is still in the ground. Now, that may not sound too revolutionary, but we've always been the opposite. We're trying to get that back leg going as fast as possible. Again, some are teaching to jump off that back leg and so forth. And I think this is a product that really pushes players that have a difficult time staying back further in that direction. And so what you need to challenge them to do is, at heel plant, did you have both heels in the ground? Did you feel that moment when you landed? Not a better place to do it than on a tee. The ball's sitting still, right? And they can really start challenging themselves in how they get grounded here. And so this back leg mechanism here, and this is what I call this. Now what I teach is how to release the back leg. Right? There's a mechanism that releases this guy, and it's important for all players to learn how to do it. But I think the single most important factor here is that a player can stay grounded all the way into their weight shift. Right? That's where, if you know how to use this mechanism and you can keep that back foot flat long enough, this back knee is going to start driving in automatically against front side leverage or ground force. This guy, if the mechanism's there, it's going to happen. Why is this so important, though? Well, if your player has a mechanism that says that you go to the garage and you take 1,000 swings a week, and one of your driving forces is, we're going to do something with our back foot and our back leg, all right? When players don't understand how to get grounded, that they don't understand that nice, balanced, athletic position, even though it's only for a fraction of a second, then if they're automatically going to a back foot move, they're not going to be able to do what Carlos Gonzalez does here on this outside pitch. All right, again, this is not an off-speed pitch, but it's an outside pitch, which I think it's the same basic idea of a player being able to sit back a little bit longer on that back heel if he needs to. I shouldn't say sit on the back heel, but he's keeping that back foot grounded. Now, you see what he does on this outside pitch. Now, anybody that watches this and follows hitting mechanics or whatever might say, well, that's a bad move with his back foot. He could have released that more. Man, I saw a video of Bryce Harper with his leg in the air at this point. His knees are crunching together or whatever it may be. This is a conscious effort by a big league hitter, right, to stay on the pitch. right? And so he doesn't have that same move over and over again with the back foot, okay? And so if you get the same, or if you give him an inner half pitch, you're probably going to see a different move. That release mechanism is going to work exactly the way it's supposed to, right? And he's going to maybe even, the foot's going to come off the ground. I don't know. Might even drag the toe a little bit. But on the outer half, because he doesn't have that automatic system that says, I'm at heel plant, now I'm going to do this with my back leg, he's able to stay on this pitch and drive it. Okay, and so I like videos like this because we've seen too many videos of guys that are their foot's in the air. I want you to see Matt Carpenter here, who is just as fantastic as anybody at when he lands here. You can see that there's definitely, he's grounded. Both legs are, both heels are in the ground, again, for a fraction of a second, but then you're going to see that move. Now, I guess you could try to make the argument that he's pulling his hips or he's driving his back leg underneath him. But I'm here to, I think that the leverage in that front side is what the back leg is responding to, because Matt Carpenter, like every good hitter, knows how this mechanism works, knows how to release this backside against that leverage. It wasn't because he kicked or jumped off of his back foot. I can assure you of that. All right, and so you can see his toe stays on the ground. It doesn't gain any ground in this particular swing, and somehow he's still able to hit it 400 and some odd feet. Okay, so, but his leg work is fantastic because I think that he makes a conscious effort to stay on the pitch. And that's what grounded is. We're staying on the pitch. We're not going to the ball. We're staying back and then letting things unload the way they're supposed to, right? And so, you know, example after example, here is Kyle Seager hitting a ball that's down, and I'm sure it was off speed, right? And so he had to go down and get it and maybe even wait on it. Watch his back foot here. His front foot, by the way, is completely in the ground. Here is heel plant. Now, look at his back foot. That is a conscious effort to stay back. So my point to you is if our players are being trained in their garages to always do something with the back foot, you better start challenging them. And I'm not saying the mechanism, it's not important. It's very important. But you need to start also making sure you're including in that, hey, did you feel that both feet were completely grounded before you unloaded the swing? Did you feel both heels in the ground when you got into your front side? I think that's a great training piece. And so when you get into a game and they're having trouble staying back, that's a cue you can say, hey, make sure you're feeling that back heel in the ground a little bit longer, whatever it may be. But I think that that's exactly the problem of kids today, is that they're so quick to get off of that backside, okay? And this is a great way, I think, to keep them grounded a little bit longer. Challenge them to stay grounded. You're going to get more athleticism, and you're probably going to get better leg mechanics overall. All right? Thanks, guys.